to the Icelandic volcano. A top professor of environmental health said the Icelandic volcano ash that has disrupted air travel poses a significant risk for people already suffering from respiratory ailments and can also lead to breathing problems.
Europeans are being told to stay indoors where ash is falling. Microscopic particles of volcanic rock are already coming down in Iceland, Scotland and Norway, causing concern about respiratory problems.
Anybody that has, say, asthma or pneumonia or emphysema, a lung disease, it's not healthy to breathe it in.
Concerns were similar when Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980. But a study of 712 loggers found that while coughing and phlegm problems spiked in the month after the eruption, over the course of the first year, they declined. And after 4 years, they were completely gone. Yet there are also environmental issues. Widespread flooding is already occurring in Iceland as lava melts away nearby glaciers, and the volcano is coughing up about 3,000 tons of sulfur dioxide each day. In the atmosphere, that becomes sulfuric acid, and acid rain. It prevents some of the sun's heat from reaching Earth, which cools temperatures. When Mount Pinatubo blew in the Philippines in 1991, it cooled the planet by nearly an entire degree. So far, the Iceland eruption is much smaller.
Long-term climatic effects are reserved for the very, very large volcanoes, super eruptions.
But this one will create volcano weather, like in Hawaii, where eruptions often cause smog-like conditions. Yet in Iceland, the question is just how dangerous is the ash? On Thursday, scientists flew into the volcanic cloud, collecting samples to find out. Ben Tracy, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Notice the way that the prophet described the volcanic ash from the vision that he saw.
This other natural disaster, can we call it snow? And the thing will be falling like whitish stain, and it will stop the whole system.
Here's the BBC's World Affairs correspondent, Caroline Hawley.
This is an unprecedented sight. Never before has every single flight in the UK, barring emergency ones, been grounded. But the risk posed by the volcano has forced European countries to take exceptional measures. This was Glasgow Airport this morning. Scotland, the first place to close its airspace. The rest of Britain and much of Scandinavia were quick to follow suit. And flights have now been cancelled across Europe, leaving passengers stranded as the ash from Iceland's volcano drifts across the skies, oblivious to boundaries.
Have a look at the big picture. Just how bad is all of this? What kind of financial losses are we talking about? Let's put it all in context. And for it, we go to Richard Quest, who's standing by live in New York. Richard, I don't think any of us have ever seen anything quite like this. Airspace closed all over, I guess it's fair to say, the British Isles and Western Europe. What's the knockoff effect going to be of having so many planes grounded and so many passengers with tickets waiting to get on?
It's going to be disastrous and sort of chaotic, and it will be for the foreseeable future. This is, I'm told, the worst travel disruption, or in terms of across the continent of Europe, since the Second World War. No, I don't think anyone can prove or disprove that fact, but if you bear in mind, I am getting emails by the minute from different airlines. For example, Ryanair. If I just read you something that Ryanair has sent us, the largest low-cost carrier in Europe. Ryanair says it's cancelled more than 600 flights. It's not operating from Belgium, from Denmark, from Finland, from Ireland, from Sweden or the UK. Now, what does this mean for the airlines themselves? Well, obviously there'll be delayed costs. Flights that don't come across to this side of the Atlantic can't come back tonight. There'll be passengers on pretty much stranded around the world. Airlines will feel the effects in their bottom line. But Jonathan, this is one of those classic things that there's nothing you can do about it.
The whitish volcanic ash, which blocked European airspace, caused widespread disruption worldwide. Ash clouds from Iceland's spewing volcano halted air traffic across a wide swathe of Europe, grounding planes on a scale unseen in years, as authorities stopped all flights over Britain, Ireland and the Nordic countries. This strange natural disaster shut down London's 5 major airports, including Europe's busiest airport, Heathrow, which handles over 1,200 flights and 180,000 passengers per day.
This other natural disaster, can we call it snow? And the thing will be falling like whitish stain, and it will stop the whole system.
Without a doubt, the whitish volcanic ash stopped the whole system, just as Prophet T.B. Joshua had prophesied. The closures in Europe had an effect worldwide. Some European nations completely closed their airspace, while others enacted partial closures. Thousands of flights were cancelled, stranding hundreds of thousands of passengers and costing airlines hundreds of millions of dollars, euros and pounds.
On Thursday, fast and pray for the nations, countries around the world on Thursday.
The volcanic ash cloud, which drifted into European airspace on Thursday, caused shutdowns and cancellations in many nations and countries around the world, including Austria, Belarus, Belgium, Croatia, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Sweden, Switzerland, Ukraine, the United Kingdom, Russia and Spain. Air travel throughout Europe and around the world was still disrupted Saturday as thick clouds of ash from a volcanic eruption in Iceland continued to drift across the continent. Officials expect air travel to be disrupted for several days.
I'm seeing in the sky something that will cause discussion among scientists and nations.
The strange occurrence of the volcanic ash and the effects it caused fast became a topic for discussion among scientists. An investigative mission was carried out by scientists to analyze samples taken from the volcanic ash cloud sitting over Britain. A plane carrying the researchers flew right up to the cloud to test its contents. The data could reveal important information about the environmental impact of the eruption. The information gathered would enable experts to determine where the concentrations of abrasive particles and acidic gases might be dangerous. It will give us new information on the way volcanic plumes mature and change, and how they evolve from the moment they erupt, said Mr. Purcell of the Natural Environment Research Council.
This will come from the hill. It's a strange thing.
And Gary Tuckman is right there in Iceland now. And Gary, you are where this all started and what a mess it has made.
This is the center, the epicenter where the problems have originated. This is the mountain where the volcano is located. On top of that mountain, the crater. Inside the crater, the volcano that exploded under a glacier, and that's why you see here all this water. Floodwaters came out of the mountain and flooded this farmland here, but you may be wondering why you don't see any ash. That's because this is the west side of the mountain, and the winds have been blowing about 70 kilometers an hour to the east behind me, and that's where mainland Europe is. So this is actually a safe place to be right now. If the winds change, and they are expected to change tomorrow they're expected to come from the north and blow to the south, and that's the North Atlantic Ocean there, so that's a good direction for it to go. But ultimately, it could start blowing in this direction, and then we won't be allowed to be here anymore.
The natural disaster was a strange thing. It was the first time that an ash cloud had affected some of the most congested airspace in the world. Observers in Scotland reported the smell of sulphur in the air, with sightings of strange, hazy ash clouds in the sky. Right now, let's go to our correspondent in the UK, Chris.
Emmanuel God is with us. This is Christopher Tong reporting for Emmanuel TV in London, the United Kingdom, and I am right outside Heathrow, one of the world's busiest airports, which at the moment is at a complete standstill as a result of the incident that occurred in Iceland, the volcanic eruption that spewed forth ash into the atmosphere, and a slow wind has carried that ash across the entire British Isles, indeed across most of Europe, causing a complete and utter standstill in British airspace. There has been no movement in British airspace for over 48 hours, and it seems to have no sign of abating. What you can see behind me in the very background is a slight tint of the red sunset the only evidence we have of this volcanic ash that is moving slowly over the atmosphere. Because of that ash, you